Hey everyone, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Theros Beyond Death.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching here on YouTube. It's the Commander's Brew. You guys are doing so much just by watching the video. And if you want to help out even more, just go down and hit subscribe or check out our Patreon, patreon.com/commandersbrew. You can help us make the show and make the decks for our show in our Discord. We always get some good chats going and everyone's helping out there. So it's a lot of fun. Check us out, patreon.com/commandersbrew. But, without further ado, we're going to get into today's huge set review. So here we go, kicking it off. It's Theros Beyond Death. Sean, let's get into it.
All right, so as Commander players, we're interested in new mechanics we can put into our decks. We only got one new mechanic. It's a cool one. It's Escape. It's like Flashback in that you can cast these cards from the graveyard by paying their escape cost. And part of the escape cost is you have to additionally exile cards out of your graveyard. So if you're filling up your graveyard, which we tend to do, we will just get to keep casting these cards. And the thing that makes this a bit better than Flashback is that they go back into the graveyard, so you can keep escaping the same thing over and over if it keeps going back to the graveyard.
Yes, that is the key. That is the key thing. You might have noticed if you saw our preview card. One of the key things and awesome things about that card is that you can keep casting things from the graveyard with it. But we'll get to that card once we get down to the red section. Returning mechanics, devotion is a big thing with Theros and the gods specifically. It's not as big as it was in original Theros, but the gods are back, and there's a couple cards that are going to care about it. We're actually going to get those are going to be up pretty quickly. A couple legendaries. We have sagas making their return from Dominaria. They are now. We got some Therosian sagas, which I'm very excited about because I love the card type. I think sagas are just a hit, right? Like,
yeah,
everyone loves sagas.
They're sort of like they were the original inspiration for Planeswalkers, sort of. That's sort of like what Planeswalkers were going to be.
Yeah.
But they changed. But I'm hearing a lot of people say, and I think I agree, that sagas just play a little bit better than Planeswalkers. You can put super powerful effects on them, but they don't just run over games forever because they eventually stop. Whereas Planeswalkers never have to.
That's right. And finally, we have Constellation making the return. Because, of course, this is an enchantment-based set. This is the enchantment theme. So Constellation is like basically anytime an enchantment enters the battlefield, something will trigger. Constellation is just sort of the key word that lets us shortcut that bit of text. So very key, though, Constellation, just because it is an ETB ability. Whereas, actually, if you look through most of the cards that care about enchantments, like being, entering the battlefield or being cast, it's almost always cast triggers for enchantments. It's whenever you cast an enchantment, you get a card, or whenever you cast an enchantment, do this. There's outside of Constellation, like before Constellation was a thing, there's actually not that many ETB enchantment effects. And if you've ever built an Enchantress deck, you know that. Especially like a green-white one, there's like not that many ETB effects. So Constellation's making a nice return here to Commander. But let's get into our list, our long laundry list of legendaries.
Yeah, how many is it? It's like there's like 20 of them.
It's crazy.
I haven't counted.
It's like they were like, you know what? Let's just make a bunch of these legendary. Who cares? Like they just took cards that like weren't going to be legendary, and they're like, sure, oh, it's 2 colors. Make it legendary. Who cares? But I love
27 legendaries.
27.
I mean, no doubt. I mean, there was a time when a legendary creature had to be so powerful. It was legendary so that you couldn't run 4 of them easily.
Yeah.
But now they're just like, this guy's cool. Make him legendary.
Yeah,
it's like, this guy is not that cool.
It kind of seems like no one really cares about the legendary rule anymore anyways. It's like, people just run them. Whatever.
I mean, that's good for us. We like
great.
having options.
I love it.
So let's get into the white ones.
Let's get in, Sean. You can take the first batch. You can take the first batch of them. Even I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So first white one up on the list is Daxos, Blessed by the Sun. Daxos is a legendary enchantment creature demigod for white. And Daxos's toughness is equal to your devotion to white. Daxos brings 2 pips by himself, so it's a 2/2 for 2 minimum. And whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain a life. He's a little. What are those? He's a soul sister.
Yeah, Daxos is a soul sister.
Yeah. I don't think I would put. I mean, I don't think I would put Daxos as my commander, but I would certainly run him in the 99 of a life gain deck.
Yeah, not too much to say about Daxos. He's just like kind of an improved soul sister, and he's got some extra toughness, maybe. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It. There you go. Next we have Heliod, Sun Crowned. Heliod's back after killing Elspeth. 2 and a white. He's a legendary god. All gods are indestructible, and they have this devotion tax, which is as long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Heliod isn't a creature. It's the classic. It's the same text from original Theros. Pour it over again. But the more important thing is whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. That's interesting. Enchantment. 1 and a white. Another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. Some cool abilities. I like the tandem of the lifelink. I mean, you have to pay for the lifelink and everything. You can put the counters on Heliod before he's a creature, which is kind of cool. But the fact that this is a mono white commander obviously is like a huge knock. We all know about mono white in commander. Mono white, like especially like life gain based decks are like, I don't know. They're not the most fun to play against. For me, like I'm really down on life gain decks these days. Like they just make games last so long. But that's not to say you should be if you're stoked to run a Heliod deck. I mean, there you go. This is a cool thing.
Yeah, very powerful card.
3 mana for an indestructible 5/5 if you can get it activated.
Yeah, and even if you can't, that's a good ability that I might like on an indestructible enchantment.
Ultimately, though, for me, like I think Heliod is supposed to be like the king of the gods. He's like the Zeus of the set, and he kind of does not hit that hard for me as far as commander goes, though.
Yeah,
I'm more excited about some of the other
they
gods.
set the bar so high last time we were at Theros with the gods. Like it's going to be tough to beat those ones, I think.
And even then, like Heliod was still the kind of weakest one.
So probably not a commander, but certainly in the 99 of the appropriate deck.
He'll make his way into some decks for sure.
We've got Taranika, a Crowan veteran. 1 white legendary human soldier. Taranika is a 3/3 with vigilance. Whenever Taranika, a Crowan veteran, attacks, untap another target creature you control. Until end of turn, that creature has base power and toughness 4/4 and gains indestructible. So Taranika, that's a cool ability. Like whatever you're attacking is going to survive. If we can somehow give Taranika indestructible with an equipment or something, I think if I were to use Taranika as a commander, I would want to make this a Voltron type of deck. But I'm not inclined to brew this deck myself. But I'm probably going to throw her in any deck with lots of tokens that attacks a bunch.
Yeah. It just seems it's a pretty minimal effect, really. Make something a 4/4 and indestructible.
Yeah.
It's okay. Maybe a little like she's a good 99. She'll protect your commander, sort of.
Oh, yeah, attacking with your commander, making your commander indestructible. That's all right.
Also might make your commander smaller, though, depending on who your commander is.
That's true. Base power and toughness is interesting because, like, it's +1/+1 counters still matter, enchantments and equipment still matter. Like, all that stuff still changes it. So
she does beef up smaller commander, so that's something.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to blue. Some of the mono blue commanders here. This one is pretty cool. Illyrios Enraptured, 2 and a blue for 2/3 legendary human. Illyrios enters the battlefield tapped. Illyrios doesn't untap during your untap step if you control a reflection. And then when Illyrios enters the battlefield, create a 3/2 blue reflection creature token. So he's a Narcissus. He's enraptured with the image of himself in the water there. And notable, this is an uncommon. So they're making legendary uncommons again with this set, which is cool. And the way this works is like you play Illyrios, he's tapped, then you get the 3/2. When the 3/2 goes away, then Illyrios is like, oh, my reflection's not here anymore. Cool, I can do stuff. So, I mean, ultimately, like, not super powerful. It's a really cool top-down design. Really, really, like, I really love the way they've done it. But I don't think I'm going to run this as a commander. But it feels like there's some weird stuff you can do with this card. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, like, overestimating a 3/2 reflection creature. But it feels like there's something you can do here. Interesting.
It's cheap to cast, and any deck that wants extra bodies on the field for whatever reason, if you want to sack things, if you want to, I don't know, do other things with them, like I'm happy to pay 3 mana to get 2 bodies in the early part of the game.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. And like I feel like maybe that's something blue doesn't get all that often, maybe.
I'm assuming this is a Dimir deck overall. I'm not brewing a deck around Illyrios.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Illyrios definitely 99, and that's going to be. I mean, we've already said it so much, but it's going to take a lot for a mono-colored legendary creature to be like, ooh, let's do a commander. Let's do a deck around this.
It's so true.
Yeah,
it's so true. And you know, if they're going to give us like 27 new legendaries, they can't all be excellent.
Exactly.
Front commanders.
Yeah.
Next blue one is Callaphy, Beloved of the Sea. 1 blue for an enchantment creature, demigod again. Like Daxos, Callaphy has a star in their and their power toughness, in this case power. Callaphy's power is equal to your devotion to blue, so Callaphy's 2 blue pips would start as a 2/3 minimum. And creatures and enchantments you control have spells your opponents cast that target this permanent cost 1 more to cast. Makes everything you have cost more to target, including... Oh no, not you, just your creatures and your enchantments.
Yeah, creatures and enchantments, yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
This is an interesting thing. It's so meta dependent. Like different metas have different philosophies on targeted removal. Some metas it's just nothing but board wipes all day, all night. So that will never apply. But then other metas it definitely will. So I don't know how to.
How much do you love Frost Titan's ability in your meta? If you love it, Callaphy is not as good. If you don't like it, then you're definitely not going to want this.
I do think, however, that there is, like, I think you can make the argument for a blue Voltron commander. Having pumpable power, throw some equipment in there and get that devotion up there. I could see a Voltron Callaphy deck.
I'd lean towards enchantments. I'd lean towards auras.
Ooh,
just to get your devotion up and to take advantage of her ability.
Oh, plenty of auras to make them unblockable.
And you know what? Like, I don't mind a deck that would focus on taxing removal specifically like this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a big stacks fan, but like if the stacks was only when you're trying to kill my stuff, like that's kind of interesting. That I'm listening for that. I think that's totally fair. So yeah, maybe interesting. Okay, kind of piqued my interest a little bit with that.
Okay.
I gotta say this though. So I'm and we'll see in a second here with the black one, but I think that of all of this cycle, so there's a star X or X star. I'm pretty sure the only one that the star is the toughness is the white one.
Huh.
So it's like, sorry, wait, what? The blue one doesn't pump the toughness? The color that gets 0-4 walls all of a sudden has a massive powered one? What's going on? What are we doing to white? Why are we only pumping white's toughness? Why is white getting no power?
I know it's the hot topic to just say how bad white is in Commander and card draw and everything, but it really they're making it too easy.
That's okay. Because I know the red one pumps the power, and I know the green one pumps the power. So the only one I can't remember off the top of my head is the black one. Okay, we'll see. Anyways, Callaphy. Maybe there's something there. Thassa, Deep Dwelling is next. 3 and a blue for the 6/5 legendary god. Same thing, indestructible with that devotion text, less than 5. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 other target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. And then 3 and a blue is tap another target creature. So this is a Conjurer's Closet, I think is the card, right? Where it does the blink at the beginning of your end step every time. I love that card in decks where we're looking to blink. That's like an auto include. 3 and a blue to tap another target creature is just a little bit of like bonus rider text for me, because you'd be surprised how helpful tapping a creature is in Commander, because sometimes they just have that like brutal giant indestructible monster thing and you're just like, well, I guess I'll tap it. I'm in a mono blue deck, maybe, you know, something like that.
Well, this is where the politics come in.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, I could just tap that. So as long as you guarantee you're going somewhere else with it, we're good.
Exactly. So I think this Thassa was the previous Thassa, like basically could run it in any blue deck, makes things unblockable and like you.
What's that scry every turn?
Yeah, right. So good. This one is way more targeted. Like this one is like, okay, you're putting this in a blink deck, something with ETB effects, that sort of thing. So I like it.
I do like it too, right? Like on their surface, right? I would put in a 4-mana enchantment that blinked every turn because I also run Conjurer's Closet,
Yeah,
so I will
like
also run this.
5-mana artifact, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and now this one has 2 extra abilities, 3 if you count it being indestructible.
Yeah.
1, it can be a huge creature, and 2, it can tap things.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, and you know what? I don't mind this as a commander. This ability on a commander is something I'm kind of interested in.
Yeah, because we'll be able to blink everything.
I mean, it's only going to be mono blue, obviously, but like I think we can find enough stuff in blue to make this cool.
I mean, I like Illyrios a bit better, you know, knowing I could blink him every turn. Just he can't untap ever because there's too many reflections.
Yeah, there's like 70 reflections. This guy's always sleeping. Okay. What's next?
One more blue one. Thrix, the Sudden Storm.
Wizard's Thrix.
Wizard's Thrix. I also think he should team up for some sort of cop show with Crick.
Crick
and Thrix.
Crick and Thrix. Step on a Thrix. Yeah.
The Sudden Storm, 3 blue. Legendary elemental giant. Looks a lot like old Wolverine.
It does. Yeah, good call.
He's even doing the claw pose that Wolverine always does.
Yeah. As he's jumping at someone.
Yeah, right? So he's a 4/5 flash flying. Love a flash. That's cheap for a 4/5 flash flying.
Yeah.
Spells you cast with converted mana cost 5 or greater cost 1 less and can't be countered. That's great.
Okay.
This is great.
It's kind of cool. Yeah.
You got to look at curve, right? Like some commander decks only want super tiny curves, but you know, I'll run some 5-mana spells. There's lots of spells that have 5 CMC, but you know, through other means they're already cheaper, so this could make them even cheaper still.
Yeah, this is neat. Like I think this can live in a 99 of some pretty nasty looking decks. Like this is a what are they called? The medallion. This is a medallion for everything 5 or more. That's like it doesn't help you develop, but it does help you get off maybe 2 of those big spells a turn, which can be the difference sometimes. I
would be curious to try to brew around this as a commander. Because you're blue and you have flash as a commander. So you want to do a lot at the end step anyway. So you have the opportunity to flash this guy out on turns. And now all your other counters, like you can get away with running those 4 or other spells that are a little bit more pricey. 5 particularly. Throw in a medallion, throw in like an arcane Jace's Sanctum or Arcane Sanctum or something, and you're casting stuff for dirt.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, hey? Like a Gilded Lotus costs 4, and like that 1 mana is a pretty big difference. Like that's
gives you back 3.
Gives you back that 3. Yeah, okay. Interesting. I'm listening, Thrix. I'm Fraser Crane and I'm in my studio. Roz is next to me and I am listening.
Bulldog is to join his next show.
Gonna make fun of me in a bit about wine drinking or something. Let's take a look at the black mono commanders. We have Ephemia, the Cacophony, 1 in a black legendary enchantment, Harpy, a 2/1 flyer. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile an enchantment card from your graveyard. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Unfortunately, I don't think you're gonna see this card pop up that often. I mean, you need to have it be an enchantment based theme that also cares about 2/2 zombies. Like
that's a tough one.
Yeah, I guess if you're like maybe trying to go wide in an enchantment deck somehow, maybe this is something. I don't know.
Well, maybe so like are there possibly like,
but you're not trying to exile your own enchantment cards. If that wouldn't you rather just have your good enchant, especially in like a black white enchantment deck? Like kind of the whole thing is you want to play, take advantage of bringing those cards back, not just not exile them just to get a 2/2, right?
What if it was all of those black? Like, I mean, this is probably not a great deck, but just my instinct would be all those little enchantments that buff your creatures. So I'm gonna buff the zombie. I'm gonna keep swinging, and when it dies, I'll use the enchantment that went to the graveyard to make another one. I don't know. I don't love it.
Yeah, no. I'm not excited to make this the commander, and I'd be surprised to see this pop up in 99s and be that effective.
But it is nice to see that the little mannequin from the Saw movies got another job as a weird harpy.
That's right. Or like, what's the guy from Spirited Away? It's like,
Oh yeah.
that guy turned into that's the mask from Spirited Away, right? Like it looks like, or the one from Saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else.
Ooh, another god, Erebos Bleak-Hearted. 3 and a black, god, indestructible. 5/6 if your devotion is 5 or more, the usual. Whenever another creature you control dies, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. So that's great. That's just like creatures are dying all the time. And that's not just so you don't have to pay extra. Like you just pay life.
Just life.
A lot of these pay life, draw a card, have a mana cost aside with it. So this one does not. But also, 1 and a black, sacrifice another creature. That's the perfect way to enable it. Target creature gets -2/-1 until end of turn. Not a huge effect. We're not going to get a lot done with that minus, but 1 and a black. So greed is 1 and a black, draw a card, right? Or is it just black, draw a card?
I think it's just black.
There are other ways we have 1 and a black, draw a card.
In fact, Erebos, the old Erebos, was 1 and a black.
Draw a card.
And pay life, I think.
And pay life. Okay, so yeah, we still have that, but now we also we sacrifice a creature with it, and we get to make a creature smaller. There's going to be utility creatures that it affects. If we feel like attacking, that's the threat of activation. There is legit. Like -2/-1 really messes up a lot of combats.
Well, there's also going to be stuff where, like, if one of your creatures dies, you get to gain life. Like, if you're playing white-black, that's what Daxos does. He gains you life when a creature dies. So that, right there is now you're paying 1 life to and a sack to draw a card. I like this card a lot. I think this is really good. Like, obviously, sack decks are just going to play this, and life. Those like what's it called? Karlov decks, like stuff like that where you're gaining lots of life. I think this is gonna be a pretty nice include.
Oh yeah, because like there's times where like you're like, yeah, sure, I'll pay 16 life and draw 8 cards because tons of creatures just died, no problem.
Exactly. Yeah, board wipe happens for sure. And I think that the -2/-1 thing, while you're right, is not a big effect, but like there are going to be times where it's like, well, I just need to kill your commander who's a 3/3, and you're just going to do that 3 times and get him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Timoret, chosen from death. Oh, he does pump toughness. Okay, never mind. All right, so it's not just white; it's white and black both. Get the toughness pump. Timoret, chosen from death, is the part of that cycle. He's black for the legendary enchantment creature Demigod. His toughness is equal to your devotion to black. 1 and a black, exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. You gain 1 life for each creature card exiled this way. It's 2 and a star. So yeah, it's a nice little graveyard hoser. It's from graveyards, so it doesn't have to be from the same graveyard. Any 2 target cards, so that's nice. It's always nice to have a little bit of graveyard hate, of course. And this guy gets can get pretty big toughness wise, but other than that, you're just like, I think outside of something like Karlov or something that's going to care about the instances of life gain, like I don't know if this is something you're gonna really want.
It's tough. I don't know. Like we need graveyard hate, but it's we too many commander players don't even run any.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. So if you can convince a player to change their brewing habits and add graveyard hate, they're going to add 1 or 2 cards that exile the entire thing.
Yeah.
I don't think many decks are in the market for like targeted graveyard removal over and over and over.
Yeah, but maybe that's a good way to think of it, just because, like, if you run Tormod's Crypt or something like that, like, it's 1-time blast, go. Whereas, like, and I've said it before in the show, where it's like, if you're running a Carador deck or something, that can slow you down, but my next turn, I might just dump a bunch of cards in there and just be off to the races again. Whereas if you're Timoret, right, and you've got some mana up, and I go, okay, I'm going to try and cast this card, you can just gone while you're trying to do it. Like, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's a powerful effect. That's why Scavenging Ooze gets played, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm not either way. I'm not really truly excited to make a mono black deck with Timoret. I think there's just more
I would do,
interesting options to play with. You know what I
I
mean?
would do
Like,
Erebos before I did Timoret.
yeah, same here. Okay, no need to keep talking about this guy. He's just okay. Let's move on to red.
Ooh, NX hardened in the forge. Is this NX and Cymede?
It is.
Where's Cymede?
She's dead. I
Oh
think.
no! Was that what happened in the forge? Is that why the forge hardened NX?
I saw the full story thing when this was spoiled, and it was like
Oh.
he whispers only one name, Cymede. It's like I don't know, something happened to her. I think.
Tragedy.
Yeah, I think some
It's got a
tragic
cool axe. Anyway,
He does.
one red legendary demigod star 3 powers equal to your devotion to red. Whenever NX or another non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 red satyr creature token with this creature can't block. And if if the non-token creature you control that died had power 4 or greater, you create 2 of those tokens instead. So NX helps bring out those little satyrs. These satyrs are interesting because they can't block, and little chumpy dudes are great at blocking.
That's their thing.
We've had other sets that gave us 1/1 devils that when they died they did a damage anywhere we wanted. Those were the best.
Yeah, those are great.
So obviously, if I'm only planning on turning my team sideways and pumping them up, I don't care if they can block.
Yeah.
So that's not a drawback if it goes in with your plan. But sometimes the plan doesn't go how you want, and you do want to block with them. So I don't know.
I know.
My question is, can you make enough tokens with Annex that you don't care? Like if Ennis can pump out like regularly like 6 or 10 tokens, I'm like, I don't even care if they can't block. That's great. I want 10 tokens.
This is a really good card for the sack fodderness of it all. Like sacking a bunch of creatures. Yeah. They just turn into these satyrs, sack them as well, you know. So like red black decks, very excited about this. Jund decks are going to be, I think, into this card. Like that's going to enable some really cool chains of sacrificing things.
Yeah.
But again, the fact that that non-blocking thing is a big knock. Like because like you're saying, like even in those decks where it's like all I'm doing is sacrificing these things, they're there to block, right? Like I'll just leave them there to block for a while.
Yeah.
So it's you kind of have to think twice about how you're going to use that. That being said, I think for those decks, this is still going to be good. Like you said, I think like if you're somehow running a very aggressive style, this card's going to be pretty decent. But it's a real cost. I like it though. He's my favorite of this cycle.
I think I might agree with you.
And I think I think a mono red deck is possible with him. Next is Perforos, Bronze Blooded. I love this art. Very cool. 4 and a red. He's the god. Indestructible. 7/6 with the devotion text, and other creatures you control have haste. Great. 2 and a red. You may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. This is a much fairer / safer version of sneak attack. Yeah. Essentially, and I am here for it. I love it.
I do love it. I can't say I'm not a little disappointed that it's specifically a red creature, because if we're going to make Perforos our commander, of course they're only red creatures and artifact creatures. So like from a commander's perspective, you didn't need to say that.
Yes, yeah, but if he's just in the 99, then
so it's sneak attack, right? So like at that point it also doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess it had to be just from like constructed like standard type of stuff. They don't want to make sneak attack into standard or something.
I mean that's fair. That's fair.
But also because of that, like it's not that big of a downside for commander then too, right? Like you want to run this guy as your commander. That's not even a downside. That's just great. That's just cool text. Great, right? Like I love it how it's still the sacrifice thing and it doesn't exile. Like that's awesome. Like they didn't nerf it that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which they could have easily.
Yeah. Like I'm happy to throw down a Dracuseth, attack, and do damage everywhere, and then reanimate them somehow. I guess not with red, but yeah, other ways.
Yeah. And you could even do like a I don't know, like this finds its way into a couple different decks. You need to be heavier on the red creatures, I guess. if you're going to do like red black or something. But I love him as a commander. This is I think the one where I'm like, I love this guy way more as a commander than anything
Oh
else.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to put him in my chainer deck, like as a way to get another creature into the graveyard after they attacked once.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So
Yeah, there you go, red black. I'm excited to put him into ready, which is just going to be able to drop
Yes.
these massive artifact creatures and go
Yeah.
to town. Yeah.
yeah, very grateful they let us have artifact creatures.
Yeah. Okay, so we like Porphyros, Bronze Blooded. Seems good.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to green, we start with Arasta of the Endless Web. 2 green for a legendary enchantment creature spider with a human face. Her hair is webs, and just a butt full of eggs.
That's how it works. It's her butt. I had a friend back in like grade 5 who would just be absolutely freaked about this picture. Like he wouldn't even be able to look at it. I remember we were playing a video game where like there was a thing where it was like there was a spider woman where it's like body of a woman but like lower body of a spider, and he couldn't even look at the TV screen.
Wow.
He was just so freaked by it. So like,
wow.
Oof, Arasta. Yeah. Anyways.
Well, Arasta is a 3/5 for 4 with reach. Those are some good stats, I think.
Yeah.
Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. That's cool.
That's very cool.
This is a contender for Spider Tribal with Ishkanah. Like, I'm not sure which one you want now as Spider Tribal.
I know.
Because
Because
you're
you're
gonna
black green.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like you got to give the edge to Ishkanah just because you can have the black cards.
And but I love this in any kind of green token deck because I want cards that generate tokens automatically. And I know this is, matchup dependent, but there's definitely matchups where you're going to get a ton of spiders out of Arasta.
Definitely. It's that they're all going to be coming out of her butt.
Ugh.
Next we have Nylea. Keen-eyed. Keen. 3 and a green, legendary god, indestructible, 5/6. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That's very good. And then 2 and a green, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you can put it on into your graveyard. Obviously, we're in for the mana reduction on creature spells. That's very good.
Yeah.
Having a 5/6 indestructible is going to be great in those decks that care about casting these big creatures, obviously. And the 2 and a green, kind of, much like most of these other gods, like Thassa specifically, this is just pure bonus. Like, you might not be looking to activate this all the time or anything, but when you've got some extra mana lying around, there's nothing wrong with that, right? So we'll take
I hear green gets lots of mana.
I hear that happens.
around.
Oh, we'll see. I wonder if that's going to be tripled in any way. Yeah.
Now that we have this card too, it seems that like Nylea doesn't just shoot a bow. Nylea always loves to like jump and then shoot the bow. Like like Nylea just played a bunch of Max Payne and is just like always doing those like jump.
Yeah, in the slow mo, like the bullet time.
Yeah, arrow time.
Nylea is all about arrow time. It's the name of her talk show also. Arrow Time with Nylea. Hi, we're talking arrows, and I'm Nylea. Welcome to Arrow Time.
Our special guest is Annex.
Hey, Annex, how are you liking the new batch of arrows? Siamede. Oh man, you're really muttering that one name a lot.
Okay, when we come back from break, we're gonna see a new muffin recipe.
It has arrows in it. Bye. So I think like Nylea isn't particularly flashy or like exciting, but I think it's a just like us, rock solid card. Like, this is gonna go in your big creature decks, and you're gonna be happy with it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It feels like it crosses over Goreclaw a lot because of the reduction.
Yeah.
And since Goreclaw also gives trample, like I might like that bonus better than getting extra creatures this way. It's tough. It's tough.
You're right. That's a very good point. Didn't even think of
But
that.
I'm going to put Nylea in the Goreclaw deck though.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, she works well with Goreclaw. They work well together.
Yeah.
All right.
Next, we've got Renata, Called to the Hunt, 2 green. This is the green demigod. And this time, Renata's power is equal to your devotion to green. So Renata is a star 3. And each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
A lot of decks that care about +1/+1 counters are happy to get more. I feel like, yeah, I don't know if I want to, like, as a commander, I'm not sure if Renata's where I want to go for that.
Yeah.
But in the 99, I'm probably going to run her if I've got a lot of +1/+1 encounters. But if I'm at all proliferating, absolutely I'm running Renata, because getting that first counter is usually the most important one.
Yeah, like Renata's really like a Simic creature, right? Like you're gonna put her in a
Yeah.
lot of those blue-green decks, and that's gonna be where she shines. I think I agree. Not so much a mono green commander. I mean, you certainly could make a mono green deck and have it care about +1/+1 counters, but you're just not going to get as much great synergy as you would out of those Simic decks. So I think in the 99 of those Simic decks, she's going to be great.
Yep.
Okay, and there are no colorless legendary creatures, but there are a few multicolored ones, starting with Atris. Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths. Ooh, 2 white, black, legendary human advisor. It's a 3/2 with menace. When Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths, enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. This is cool. I like the kind of, like, I just like what this does. I don't know if it's super good or anything, but like it's cool.
It's ETB.
Yeah.
And so you're always going to get, so on at minimum, you can pretend this is a 4-mana 3/2, draw 2 cards. Because your opponent has to do a 1 and a 2. They would be fools to do a 3 and a 0.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you would take the 3. So if you want, you can always get 2 cards. There is that little mind game where, like, your opponent can be like, ooh, the one I left face down is really good. Like, if you face, if my opponent flips up island, swamp, and then face down in another pile, that's interesting. Like, I might take that face down because it's probably the spell.
That's interesting. What do? Do you give them? I mean, I guess obviously it's game dependent on, but like showing them a decent card and putting 2 lands face down is like kind of interesting.
If I have any ways to blink things, this just Atris gets way better. Like, teamed up with the new Thassa, just blinking Atris at the end of every turn, drawing 2 more cards every turn. That's a pretty good game.
Feels like this is like this kind of should have been a Sphinx. Like that's a very Sphinxy type of an ability. It's almost like a fact or fiction.
Are there Sphinxes in Theros?
Yes. Yeah. There were in the last one.
Okay.
Well, Metamai.
Metamai. Right. Of
example.
course.
Yeah.
Metamai returns, not as in creature form, but in saga form.
So yeah, I mean, I think this. I think now that you've put it in those terms, which is a little sort of simpler to think about. Again, I think like commander wise, I don't know. But it's a cool thing because it puts the other ones you don't pick into your graveyard, which is something.
So you'll see what they put.
Your opponent has to think of that too, right? Like your opponent has to think of like, well, the other things, like what he doesn't pick is going to his graveyard. That might be exactly what you want. And in fact, if you're building this as your commander, that is going to be what you want. So
yeah,
I think this is cool. I like it.
I do too.
All right.
Next, Dalakos, Crafter of Wonders. 1 red, blue. This is the Izzet commander. Legendary creature, Merfolk Artificer. 2/4 with an ability tap, add 2 colorless mana, and you can spend it only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. And equipped creatures you control have flying and haste. So I think we're intended to use that colorless mana for equip costs, and we're meant to cast equipment with it and then equip new creatures that give them flying and haste. I mean, Red Blue loves artifacts. I think he's in the right color pair for that, and I'll give it a shot. I'll try it out. I'll try Red Blue.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not give it? Is it another artifact commander, especially one that kind of focuses on a different part of, like, a different thing? Like we've got the ones that care about the activated abilities, and we've got ones that like double stuff or whatever. Now we've got this one that just kind of ramps you up a little bit and helps you with the equip costs. And you can make this an equipment thing, like you can make it a Voltron thing, but you don't have to. Like, nothing says you have to use that bottom text. This could just be a wicked good ramp card in a blue-red deck.
Yeah, I mean, Delacoste just spits out signets and
Yeah.
like 2 mana rocks.
I love it. Great
Yeah.
design here. Yeah, both in the 99 of artifact decks and as a commander, really good.
Yes. Yes.
Next is Eutropia, the twice favored. 1 green blue. This is your Simic legendary human wizard, 2/2. It's a constellation creature. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. That creature gains flying until end of turn. So similarly, we were talking about Renata about +1/+1 counters. This can go in those types of decks, but you do have to have that enchantment like slant to it. You've got to have a few enchantments obviously to make this worth it. It's cool as I think it's going to be cooler as a commander for that reason, because you're going to build around having enchantments and maybe buffing up her or some other creature, like, and giving it flying and stuff like that. Overall, not flashy, not super sexy, but there's a deck here.
Yeah, the enchantment deck is so tricky because you got to have the enchantments, but here's another card that is not an enchantment that helps with enchantments.
Yeah.
A lot of constellation creatures do happen to also be enchantments, which is great, but not Eutropia.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. Like if you have an enchantment deck, the question I ask is, what do you cut for this then?
Yeah, I think like I said, Eutropia is going to be way better as a commander.
Yeah.
And if like a blue green auras deck is like not something I've really seen a ton of.
Yeah.
But she's a very good commander for that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So there you go. We got a blue green auras commander.
It's true. If I had an enchantress so I could draw cards whenever I cast those auras, I would feel a lot better about the risk of the 2-for-1 there.
Yeah, and which of course is readily available in green. So
yeah,
great.
Cool. Now we've got the Gruul one, Gallia of the Endless Dance. Endless
Gallia.
Dance. Dan Gallia of the Endless Dance. If you're in Toronto in comedy, you might know Dan.
You might know Dan. Yeah.
This is a very inexpensive commander, legendary creature. Red-green for a 2/2. Legendary creature Satyr. Has haste. Other satyrs you control get +1/+1 and have haste. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may discard a card at random. If you do, draw 2 cards. I mean, that's interesting. You go up on cards, but I hate discarding randomly. It feels so bad. I don't mind gambling because it's like, well, the chances I lose the thing I got are very slim. But in theory, you're going to be attacking with a wide team, so you want to be very aggressive. And then I guess at that point, yeah, I'm okay holding my last card because I've spewed up my hand and just trading it up for 2 others.
So 2 things. I probably going to build a deck around this card because I just like this is a pretty unique ability to have to discard randomly but then draw 2. Like that's really cool. Plus it's tied to attacking. Like, while obviously some people might see that that's kind of like a downside, like, oh no, I got to attack. I see it as like a brewing challenge, and I think probably a lot of commander players feel that way about it, right? It's like, okay, so we got to get some attacks in so we can draw some cards and discard randomly and take advantage of our graveyard. There's so many different facets. I'm very excited about it. I like it a lot. Plus you have this random thing about how it cares about like satyrs or whatever. So cool. Satyrs, whatever. And 2, what's going on with this poor guy that Gallia is like headlocking? Like, what's going on?
Well, I have a theory. I think that guy tried to stop dancing, but he needs to be reminded this is the endless dance.
But also look at the way her arm is around his head. Like,
oh,
it looks like she's pulled his head off. She literally like just pulled the guy's head off because her arm is far too like back where his neck would be,
Yeah.
It doesn't look like that guy is alive anymore.
Maybe not. Yeah. And if he is, he's paralyzed now.
She's just partied so hard.
Huh.
But I love it. I like Gallia. I think it's a cool little commander. A little 2/2 mana 2/2 with haste. Like, not going to be massively impactful, but I think there's some fun stuff to do with her.
Yeah.
Great.
Next up is the
Haktos, the Unscarred. Red, red, white, white. This is, what is this, like a Ravnica legendary? What's going on here? Legendary, what do they call these? CCBBs or something like that?
No, they
Remember?
don't use B, I don't think. CCDD?
CCDD, that's what it is, yeah. Red, red, green, red, red, white, white. Legendary human warrior, a 6/1. Haktos the Unscarred attacks each combat. If able, when it enters the battlefield, you choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. Haktos has protection from each converted mana cost other than the chosen number. So when I first saw this card, so this is Achilles. So
Yes.
the way this works is you choose either 2, 3, or 4. So whatever you choose it, and let's say you get 2. So Haktos has protection not just from 3 and 4. Haktos has protection from 0, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He has protection from all of the converted mana costs except either 2, 3, or 4. So that's something, right? Like, that is something.
I think it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating. I know we don't talk about like limited or standard or much like that, but like if you got to pick, you know your opponent would just pick whatever mattered. But the fact that it's random makes it so interesting, and it's so interesting.
So I think because of this very, very unique and like you're saying, interesting and cool ability, I think this is going to be, we're going to see some Haktos decks. Obviously, it's kind of funny because like you want to make this kind of Voltron because it's like a 6/1, which is really great, and he has to attack. But like you can't really include equipment or auras and stuff that are those 3 converted mana costs, because if he gets protection from 3, you can't be putting the equipment on it that costs 3. It can't be targeted by those things. So you
Lightning
have to make
Greaves,
it like
Swiftfoot Boots.
1 mana and 5 mana things. Like, that's not that good. So yeah, very interesting. Speaking of deck building challenges, holy crow.
Well, okay, what about this? What, you've got white, so maybe you could do some blinks or flickers and just like hope that you're like, some of my other creatures have good ETB abilities, so I'm happy to blink them, but I could blink Haktos if I get the wrong number and I can't put my Swiftfoot Boots on him.
I mean, that's something you have to be like constantly doing, though. Because what if you draw all the 4 ones and you're like, oh man, I got the 4. He's protection for 4 right now. Okay, I'll blink him, and then something happens, and then later in the game, you're like, oh man, I draw the 3 things, and now I got to go back to this problem.
I don't know.
So yeah,
it's fascinating.
It is fascinating and very interesting and neat design. So
Haktos the Fresh Maker.
Yeah.
Now we've got Gruul, the Gruul God, the god to replace Xenagos.
Right.
I guess Xenagos became a planeswalker and no one looked back. Everyone was like...
No, was it the other way around? He was a planeswalker and then became a god, and then Elspeth killed him.
Oh, yeah. So then who was the Gruul God before?
There was none. There just wasn't one.
There just wasn't one.
Yeah.
Seems weird. So then Clothis, God of Destiny, is like, I hear there's a job opening for
I'm here to apply for the position of Gruul God.
And it's like, oh, and what things can you bring to it? It's like, I know Destiny. I knew this would happen. Well, okay.
I've
then.
seen that this will happen. You will hire me.
Well, I can't go against God of Destiny, so here you go.
That's more of a Simic thing, but okay, sure.
So it's 1 red, green, legendary god as well. 4/5, a little bit on the smaller side creature-wise.
Interesting, yeah.
Indestructible, and then with the 2 color gods, you always have to have a devotion of 7 to make it a creature. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. It's not a May. If it was a land card, add red or green to your mana pool. So at the beginning of your first main phase, if you hit a land, you get an extra mana. Bit of a ramp, maybe. Otherwise, you gain 2 life, and Clothis deals 2 damage to each opponent. So that's also if you can't hit a card in the graveyard because there isn't any great lands in there. Like if there's no cards at all, you'll still get the gain 2, deal 2.
Isn't it interesting that this green-red card is basically doing a black-white thing?
Yeah.
Where it's damage, it's not life loss, but like it's gaining life and dealing damage. It is within colors, right? Green gains life and red deals damage. So yeah, but it's just kind of like interesting. It feels
when
like
you
more of a
combine it
black-white
that way.
thing.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Interesting.
the ramp move is very green red, but and a 3 mana 4/5 is. You're right. 4/5 is not huge, just creature wise. Period. But for 3 mana, that's a lot.
Yeah, and like, I mean, a Gruul deck is probably going to be pretty aggressive. You're going to be attacking a lot. So I think doing 2 damage every turn, and Clothis will be out most of the game. You're going to be able to cast him early, you're going to be able to cast them early, and you'll be able to, like, Clothis isn't going anywhere very easily.
No. Yeah, okay. Let's go to the next one. We've got Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. These are really cool. There's new Titans and they're Elder Giants. So we got the Elder makes a return here. Black red. You know who likes this card a lot? Actually, before we get into reading it, there's a little guy here. He's not so much an Elder Giant. He's quite a tiny little giant. Harry.
Hi,
Look
Harry.
at this smiley boy. Yeah, Harry seeing shot on the monitor, having a laugh. For the audio listeners, Harry, what do you got to say about the new Magic set, Theros? Nothing. Just some heavy breathing. Very cool. Mwah. Thanks, buddy. Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. That's my boy's favorite. Okay. Little baby content there for everyone. Okay. Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. Like I said, it's a Titan, but they're slightly different. So when Kroxa enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. This is the new, this is how these, there's not a full cycle of these guys, right? I think there's only 2 or 3 of them in the set. But anyways, this is what they all do.
These Titans, right?
Yeah.
We were all hoping to get 10 new Titans.
I know, yeah.
Maybe we weren't going to get gods, we were going to get Titans. Everyone was so excited.
Yeah. But we only got a couple, which is, gives them something to do for the next one, I guess.
Couple's not 0.
Whenever Kroxa enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent discards a card. Then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. So if you didn't discard a non-land card.
Double negative. So if you discard a land.
You lose 3 life. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't discard a non-land card because I discarded a land card. So I lose 3 life.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, right. Shouldn't it just be if they discarded a land card, they lose 3 life?
Well, because then that doesn't cover the case if they're empty-handed and they can't discard anything.
You're right. Okay. Okay. Anyways, so that's what happens. So it's this 2 mana. You get this kind of weird, it does enter the battlefield, but then you have to sacrifice it. So
I'm okay with that.
That's cool. And then the escape cost is black, red, and exile 5 other cards from your graveyard.
That's a lot of cards.
Yeah. So you can cast this from your graveyard from the escape cost. That's the whole thing. So this plus 5 others in your graveyard, that's how you get this onto the battlefield to stick as a 6/6. What do you think?
So first of all, I love that it's a commander with an alternative cast cost. So we can send this to the graveyard and then it costs us 4 CMC again, which is the same as it would be the second casting. So maybe I'll cast it the second time from my command zone, but then every time after that, maybe I'm letting it go to the graveyard. Unless I guess I want to stick around.
So, but escape doesn't let you get around the commander tax, right? Because you're still casting it. That is still a casting cost.
Oh, really?
It's not an ability.
Right.
You're
right.
still casting it for that much. So I think you still pay the commander cost.
Okay. I mean, I'm still okay with it. I mean, that does change my opinion. I thought I was so excited to get a Stinkweed Imp and have a way to just dredge it for 5 and then escape Kroxa every turn.
How are you going to dredge this? It's your commander.
No, I'm going to dredge Stinkweed Imp and then put 5 cards in my graveyard. And I'm going to use those 5 to exile it. Get my sack outlet to keep that rolling. So Stinkweed Imp is going to go way up in any of the dredge cards. There's playable black one and there's a playable green one.
But how excited are you to play 2 mana? Everyone discards a card and deals some random 3 damages here and there.
Well, I'm not excited for the ETB, but as a 6/6 attacker, that's something. That's significant.
But then your commander is just a 4 mana, but you're not going to be able to cast it on turn 4 probably. 6/6.
Wait, hang on a sec. Can I want to interject a second? I can cast my commander from my hand for the regular cost. I don't
yeah.
have to do tax that way.
sure.
So
But
why
you
do I have to
can't-
do it from the graveyard with
Because that's the
escape?
only way it sticks. Otherwise, you're just paying 2 mana and it goes in the
No,
graveyard
no,
right
no.
away.
I mean, why do I have to pay the commander tax for escape?
Because you're casting it.
But I'm casting it from my hand and I don't have to pay the extra.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I didn't even think of that. You are correct.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not from your command zone. Yes. No, you know what? I think you're right. I think you don't have to pay the extra if it's if it's not from your command zone. That makes sense. Yeah. Right? People
Yeah, I don't know.
Yelling at their screens and headphones.
I mean, it's hard to look up a rule on the internet on the fly.
Okay, so
because-
you continue looking that up.
Yes.
And I will move on to the next card. Overall, that's going to be obviously make a big deal, but I still don't think it's like that big of an impact. I think this might be a 99 card for some cool graveyard decks, but I don't know if it's going to be actually a really great Rakdos commander. Anyways, let's move on. Sean's going to find out that rule. I'm pretty sure he's right. I think you are right. I think the tax is only from when you cast it from the command zone. But let's move forward to Knoros, Hound of Athreos, 1 white black for the legendary Hound. It's a 3/3. It has Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink. Some cool evergreen abilities there. Creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards. So a strict like graveyard hate card that like really shuts down any kind of reanimator stuff, but does it in such a way that like we had a big discussion about this, about playing cards like Rest in Peace versus stuff like that's just like doesn't let you target and doesn't let you like actually reanimate stuff. So I kind of think this is actually on the fair side of things, because you're not ending all like death triggers and stuff like that. It just makes it so that you can't reanimate stuff. So that doesn't necessarily totally shut down a deck. So actually I think this is like borderline being it's more on the fair side. And like not just killing someone's entire deck, right? It does in some ways. Like if you are a reanimator deck, you're obviously not going to be happy with this card, but at least you can still put stuff in your graveyard. At least you can still like, you know, your giant like you can still mill yourself, and you can still have the creatures that care about creature cards in the graveyard get bigger and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's definitely better. So that being said, it is white black. I don't know if I love it as a commander, just because like what am I doing? Like it's a hate card, but as my commander, I'm like, it's a Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink. Or you like this is definitely a 99 card that, you know, only goes in Orzhov decks that just hates graveyards. So I don't know. It's a fine graveyard hate card if you're in Orzhov, obviously, or in adjacent 3, 4, 5 color decks, but I don't love it as a commander, to be honest. I'm not that into it. I don't think you need this on a commander. I don't think that's like, I mean, unless everyone in your meta runs graveyard reanimators decks, right?
There are metas like that.
There are, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I missed a lot of the beginning because I was looking up rules. But the thing I just want to throw in here is that I think this is Audric's best pal. Three creature, 3 keywords on one for a 3-mana creature. You're paying 1 mana per keyword here, and you're getting a 3/3. It's very efficiently costed.
Come here, Pop.
Yes.
Come here, Pop.
So the rules of commander tax specifically only apply when you cast it from your command zone.
Okay.
So
that's
casting from the graveyard is not. So you can dredge away 5 cards with Stinkweed Imp, cast Kraxos. Is it Kraxos?
Kroxa.
Too many. There's too many letters. It's like
Kroxa.
yeah.
I mean, there's only
these
5,
names
but yes.
get very similar. No, I mean like they only use a few letters over and over. Like, great.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to Pelucranos.
Ooh, Pelucranos Unchained. 2 black green. Legendary Zombie Hydra. Pelucranos enters with 6+ impulse counters. If it escaped, it enters with 12 instead. Starts as a 0/0, so it's either going to be base 6 or base 12. I guess technically not base, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If damage would be dealt to Pelucranos while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, prevent the damage and remove that many +1/+1 counters on it.
Very interesting. Just the interesting rules part of this damage prevention thing only works if there's a +1/+1 counter on it.
Right. So because I think there have been ways of like if you anthem the creature.
Yeah, exactly. There's older cards that do that where it's like if you anthem them or aura them up and then it just prevents damage.
Yeah. And then it's got 2 ability. Well, the escape ability is 4. So it costs 4 the first time or costs 6 to come from the graveyard as long as you exile 6 other cards. But 1 black green Pelucranos fights another target creature. So you're going to take fight damage. You're going to lose +1/+1 counters by doing that. But it's a little bit of a repeated removal spell if you want to get medium to small creatures. Once you've expended it all and you've fought all the creatures you can, Pelucranos can be escaped and be even bigger and can start fighting even bigger creatures and fight more things. And then once that's done, you can escape him again and just keep going with this. This is very good. And Golgari decks love filling up graveyards. So I think you'll be able to just continually just be removing things. And as we learned from our little rules escape there, escape never gets more expensive. So it'll always cost 6.
So interesting commander, interesting 99 card for stuff like there are Golgari decks that care about +1/+1 counters. There are Abzan decks that care about +1/+1 counters. So like I think this is a great card to just cast for 4 and then just add your own +1/+1 counters as you want because you're just fighting things. And like I think this is a really cool card. And if you're going to commander it, the exile 6 other cards is a lot. Like that's a lot of cards to have to exile to get him escaped. But you don't have to escape it. You can just, if it's your commander, just treat it like normal. Because what I'm thinking is like, yeah, getting 12 +1/+1 counters on it is great. But if you have stuff that's like adding your own +1/+1 counters or proliferating or whatever, you probably don't even really need the 12. You probably just are happy with the 6 and doing whatever else you're going to do with it.
Little Forgotten Ancient throwing all those counters over there.
Exactly. Like Forgotten Ancient and Pelucranos are good buds.
I think this is probably, I mean, it's a mythic and pre-sale prices are always interesting before the set's out. But according to what Scryfall says, this is about just under $7. And I think that's probably a good price for this. I feel like you're getting a good deal for this right now for $7.
Really?
That's my inclination.
I feel like Standard's gonna play with this, and then it's gonna come down.
Oh, I think it's gonna go up.
Really?
I do. I think this is gonna because of that escape, like you'll always have access to it.
Well,
and I think you're gonna. Yeah. I don't know.
Interesting.
That's my gut.
That's your gut. Let's move on to Siona, Captain of the Pyleus. 1 green white legendary human soldier. It's a 2/2. When Siona enters the battlefield, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura card from among them, put it into your hand. The rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever an aura you control becomes attached to a creature you control, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So it doesn't count for auras that would attach to your opponent's creatures, and it has to land. Would it have been, I guess, maybe for like standard or something? It's an uncommon. This is one of the uncommons. So I guess they didn't bump it up too much. But like, would it have been too much if it's just like whenever you cast an aura? You know what I mean? Or make this constellation? I don't know. Anyways,
yeah.
Maybe because of the uncommonness, they didn't want to. We need a green white uncommon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that being said, like the card selection bit off the top means depending on how many auras you're running, if you're running an aura deck, you're going to hit it probably. Getting the 1/1 is interesting. I always think it's fascinating when you have like creatures that care about buffing, like auras care buffing one creature, but then they make tokens as well. It's not a bad thing. It's just like, okay, I'm going tall, but also going wide.
Yeah,
we featured decks on the show a lot where that happens, where they provide good chump blocking and stuff like that. So it's just like, it's not ideal, but it's also not bad at all. So that being said, 3 mana 2/2 that gets us an aura and might make and probably makes a few tokens. It's a deck, but it's not like I'm not crazy excited about it.
Yeah, I can't think of a lot of auras I want to put on my creatures. Like it's a tall order.
Yeah.
And I certainly can't think of that many pacifism type auras I'd want to put on my opponent's creatures. There's just too many sack outlets. Like
Yeah.
leaving your like pacifying your opponent's creatures is good, but they can still get so much value out of it. I really want them off the board.
I think you're not even getting the soldier with Siona if you're doing that anyway.
I know, so, I know. Like at least you can find those other auras, like the pacifism auras for your opponents, but you're not getting. I don't know. Maybe 99, but probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
So next up is Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. This is another Titan. 1 green blue. This is the Simic Elder Giant. 6/6. It's very similar. Sacrifice it unless you escaped it whenever it enters the battlefield. So the first time you cast it, it's going to go right to the graveyard. But when it enters the battlefield or attacks, gain 3 life, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. That's good.
No, that's good.
I'm happy to cast this on 3, maybe get an extra land drop out of there that ramps me. And now, like before, I can keep escaping Uro. Like maybe this is the kind of commander where you're like it's just there for the ramp, and I'm going to keep escaping it whenever I want. But like that's not the plan. I'm just Simic value.
Yeah, exactly. This is just a what's it called? Something spiral. Nature's Spiral. Is that the name of the card? No.
No.
Simic card that's in standard. Anyways, I'm terrible with card names. For some reason.
Utopia Sprawl. It's an instant, right? Instant draw card. You may play an extra land.
Is that it? I don't know.
No.
Anyways, it's Explore. It's basically this is more like Explore because it's sorcery speed. So you play that extra land, drawing a card, gain 3 life. I mean, randomly is fine. I love it. I think it's an interesting thing to have your commander be just that card on hand when you need it.
Yeah.
And then it goes to your graveyard. If you so choose, again, you don't have to. Like if later you just want to pay 5 mana and draw a card, you can do that from your command zone, or do the escape. So I'm in. I think it's cool. I'm interested to see how effective that is as a commander like kind of ability.
It's pre-selling for a lot, plus $20+
Feels like it's gonna be good in like constructed like standard.
Yeah.
And finally, of the multicolored legendaries, we have our Buy a Box promo, which is Athreos Shroud Veiled. It's 4 white-black for the legendary god, 4/7, indestructible. Again, the devotion text being 7 here because it's a 2-color god. At the beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature. Whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. Cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
It's very cool. It's a lot, though. It's 6 mana. End step, put the coin on something. It's like, philosophy-wise, it's cool. Like, you're putting a coin on something, now everyone's going to be like, well, I'm not going to kill that thing now. I'm not going to just let you get it back, especially if you're putting it on your own stuff. But you can also be putting it on just your opponent's stuff and then killing them that way. Like, I don't know. So this is a very cool commander.
The fact that it comes back whether it dies or is put into exile. So
yes, exactly.
no one can like sneak around the death trigger, which flavor-wise arguably shouldn't be. Like Athreos is the god of like
death.
The death, like crossing the passage to death. So if you're being exiled, you never pass Athreos. Like Athreos.
Maybe it's kind of like Athreos being the ferryman or whatever, right? If you're trying to circumvent death by being exiled, but he's like, nope, you have to come this way. And in fact, coming this way means you're my friend now, and you exist on my team.
Okay, I'll buy it.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Head canon. That's what that is. You can come up with your own canon for the ability.
Yeah.
So yeah, Athreos. I think 6 mana is a lot, but I think this is going to be a fun commander to play with and to build a deck around.
Indeed.
I estimate seeing this as a commander more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you're watching here on YouTube right now, and that's it for the first video in our set review. Stay tuned. We're going to have video 2 up shortly with the rest of the set. So those were your legendaries. stay tuned for the rest of the set coming up. So thanks for watching. Remember to hit subscribe. Check out Wizard Tower if you're in Canada, TCGplayer in the States, and we'll see you guys in part 2 of the set review.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCGplayer affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.